What's going on today, YouTube? Rob here. Happy Tuesday. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another deck profile for you, but this one is going to be a little different because I'm going to be showcasing my hero deck off of Legacy of the Duelist, Link Evolution. Before we get started, I just want to say if you're new to the channel, consider giving this video a like and consider subscribing for more fun content and turning on that notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it. Alright guys, let's get into this hero deck profile on Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. So, we're going to start off, we have 3 copies of Elemental Hero Avion, who is basically just here for your fusion plays. He is a 3-star monster with 1000 attack and defense. Next we have 3 copies of Elemental Hero Burstinatrix. Same thing, only really here for your fusion plays. And she is level 3 with 1200 attack and 800 defense. Then we have Elemental Hero Clayman at 3 once again. Also a bit of defense and kind of more just for your fusion plays. He is a 4-star normal monster with 800 attack and 2000 defense. Then we have Elemental Hero Sparkman, a level 4 monster with 1600 attack and 1400 defense. Again, a bit of an attack boost, but also here just for your fusion plays. Then we have 1 copy of Elemental Hero Bubbleman. The only reason he is in here is for Absolute Zero, because it requires a water monster on the fusion. And he is a level 4 monster with 800 attack and 1200 defense points, whose effect reads, if this is the only card in your hand, you can special summon it from your hand. And when this card is summoned, you can draw 2 cards, but you must control no other cards and have no cards in your hand to be able to activate and resolve this effect. Next, we have 3 copies of Elemental Hero Stratos. He is a level 4 monster with 1800 attack and 300 defense. When this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can activate one of these effects. You can either destroy spell or trap cards on the field up to the number of hero monsters you control, except for Stratos, or you can add 1 hero monster from your deck to your hand. We again have him at 3. Now on to our spell cards. We have 3 copies of Dark Fusion, because for this variant of the deck I run 3 separate monsters that require Dark Fusion. I will get into that later. This card allows you to fusion summon 1 Fiend Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, and your opponent cannot target it with card effects this turn. Next we have our Triple E Emergency Call, which allows you to add 1 Elemental Hero monster from your hand to your from your deck to your hand. Again, this is just a good way to recycle cards and get cards in your hand depending on what you have already. Then we have 2 copies of Fusion Recovery, which lets you target 1 polymerization in your graveyard and 1 monster in your graveyard that was used as material for a fusion summon and add them to your hand. Again, this is good for recycling resources. Then we have 2 copies of Fusion Sage, which allows you to add 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand. Then we have Triple Heated Heart, which lets you target 1 face-up monster that you control, and until the end of this turn it gains 500 attack, and if it attacks a defense position monster, you get to inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Then we have more fusion cards. We have Triple Miracle Fusion. This allows you to fusion summon 1 Elemental Hero Fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your field or your graveyard. So again, this is good to be able to recycle fusion monsters, and because this is my variant of Elemental Hero, this is a pure fusion deck. So again, using Miracle Fusion, you can recycle cards. Then we have 3 copies of our Oversoul, which allows you to target 1 Elemental Hero normal monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. Basically all our Elemental Hero monsters in this deck, with the exception of Stratos and Bubbleman, are normal monsters, so they are all targets for this card, which also, depending on cards in your hand, allows you to fusion summon again using the same monsters. Then we have 3 copies of Polymerization. Needless to say, because this is a fusion-based deck, we want to optimize our ways of fusion summoning. So 3 copies of Polymerization, which allows you to fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. Then to round off our hero spell engine, we have Righteous Justice, again at 3. This lets you destroy spell and trap cards equal to the number of Elemental Hero cards that you control, much like Elemental Hero Stratos. And basically, this is just good for back row removal. Then we have 1 copy of Wave Motion Cannon. This is a personal favorite card of mine. This allows you, during your main phase, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard and inflict 1000 damage to your opponent for each of your standby phases that have passed since this card was activated. So this is a really good way to just deal straight effects damage to your opponent, depending on how long this card is on the field. Now on to our traps. We have 2 copies of Magic Cylinder. This allows you, when an opponent's monster attacks or declares an attack, you can target the attacking monster and negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage equal to, or to your opponent equal to the attack of the monster that attacked. Then we have Triple Mirror Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all of your opponent's monsters that are in attack position. And lastly, we have 3 copies of Negate Attack, which allows you to just end the battle phase when your opponent's monster declares an attack. Now onto the extra deck, we have our 1 and only copy of Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. Again, this goes with our Bubbleman. So 1 hero monster plus 1 water monster, and this must be fusion summoned. This card gains 500 attack for each water monster on the field except for Absolute Zero, and if this card leaves the field, destroy all monsters on your opponent's side of the field or that your opponent controls. Again, this is kind of self-explanatory. He's a decent monster. He's 8 stars, but that doesn't matter because he is a fusion monster with 2500 attack and 2000 defense. So if your opponent does manage to swing over him or destroy him using a trap or spell effect, you basically get to nuke their field. So yeah, that's good. Then we have 3 copies of Elemental Hero Flame Wingman. This requires Avion and Burstinatrix, and must be special summoned through fusion and cannot be special summoned any other ways. When this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster in the graveyard. So again, running 3 because this is a hero fusion based deck, and you know, it's just a good monster to have if you want to deal quick damage. Then we have 1 copy of Elemental Hero Nova Master. This requires 1 Elemental Hero monster plus 1 fire monster, and this must be fusion summoned. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you get to draw 1 card. So this is good for basically just milling through your deck and getting extra pieces to add other monsters on to your side of the field. Plus this is an 8-star monster with 2600 attack and 2100 defense, so it's pretty decent. Flame Wingman has 2100 attack and 1200 defense as well. Next we have one copy of Elemental Hero Thunder Giant, who requires Elemental Hero Sparkman and Clayman. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Once per turn, you can discard one card to target one face-up monster on the field with original attack less than or equal to the attack of this card, and destroy that card. Next we have, he is a level 6 with 2400 attack and 1500 defense. Next we have our evil heroes. So we have 3 copies of Infernal Sniper, which requires Clayman and Burstinatrix. And this must be special summoned using Dark Fusion and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card cannot be destroyed by spell cards, and during each of your standby phases inflict 1000 points of damage to your opponent. This card must be in face-up defense position to resolve and activate this effect. This card is level 6 with 2000 attack and 2500 defense, and this is a good way, again, much like with Wave Motion Cannon, to be able to deal off effect damage. Then we have Evil Hero Inferno Wing at 2. This requires Avion and Burstinatrix and must be special summoned with Dark Fusion and cannot be special summoned any other ways. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent, and when this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict damage equal to either the attack or defense, whichever one is higher, of the destroyed monster in the graveyard. Then we have our Evil Hero Lightning Golem, which is Sparkman and Clayman, and again must be fusion summoned using Dark Fusion. Once per turn, you can target one monster on the field and destroy that target. So unlike its good counterpart in Thunder Giant, this doesn't require a discard, which in my opinion is slightly better. Inferno Wing is the same as Flame Wingman with 2100 attack and 1200 defense. And our Lightning Golem has 2400 attack and 1500 defense. And to round off our extra deck, we have Vision Hero Adoration, who requires 2 hero monsters. And once per turn, you can basically just target one face-up monster your opponent controls and one other hero monster you control. And the opponent's targeted monster loses attack and defense equal to the attack of that targeted monster until the end of this turn. Sorry, back to our side deck. We have, like I said, Thunder Giant, Inferno Wing, and Extra Hero Dread Decimator. So this requires 2+ hero monsters. This card also, any hero monster that it points to gains 100 attack for each hero monster with different names in your graveyard. And if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. And that's it for this hero deck. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, consider leaving a like on the video and putting a comment on what you might want to see next. And if you're not already, like I said at the beginning of the video, subscribe to the channel for more fun content, and I will see you in the next one. That's game!